Okay guys, this time we're gonna talk about glyphs and talents. So let's start with talents actually. These are the talents I always queue up in arena with. Now I personally almost never change them at all, even though I probably should a few of them. Okay, so let's go over the talents. First tier, you have Void Tendrils, Siphoned and Dominate Mind. Dominate Mind is good if you're a healer in 2 versus 2, maybe even 3 versus 3, but it is completely useless as Shadow. You generally want to go Siphoned. Now you can go Void Tendrils against teams that against double melee, let's say, or maybe Tug Cleave, which is a rogue hunter, but that is only if you're not playing with a mage. If you're playing God comp, as you should, because it's the best, or Shatter play, because these are the best comps for Shadow Priest right now, then if you take roots are actually going to DR your mage's novas. So, and you're only gonna have your Psychic Scream as a form of CC, and silence of course. So I would recommend Siphoned every single game if you're playing with the mage. If you're not playing with the mage, then pick Siphoned. I mean, it depends. If you're playing with a warlock, then don't go for Siphoned at all. Go for Tendrils. But overall, Siphoned is better. Okay, second tier for me, Angelic Feather wins hands down. Body and Soul is just a weaker version of Angelic Feather. Phantasm used to be amazing. Right now, it is not as good. So Angelic Feather hands down on the second tier. Okay, third tier. This is the one. This is the most important talent tier. This is gonna define your playstyle pretty much. And I personally always like to go From Darkness Comes Light. So what this is gonna do is it's gonna give you a 20% chance for your vampiric touches to generate an instant mind spike. So I'm gonna show you right now what that means. Hopefully I can get a few procs on these animals. Okay, so there you go, right? So you get this thing over here, see? Surge of Darkness, your next Mind Spike will not consume your Shadow over time effects, is an instant cast, costs no mana, and the most important part is it does 50% more damage. So it can hit as hard as a Mind Blast pretty much. So it's a lot of damage. Next up we have Mindbender. Now Mindbender is probably the least used talent in this tier, simply because it's not that great. It's good, and I would recommend it against teams that you have a very hard time casting against. So let's say double melee that you know for a fact are going to sit on you the entire game. Maybe in lower brackets, because that's when people usually just go for the Shadow Priests. Maybe Mindbender would be nice then. The 1 minute cooldown makes it line up pretty well with your Silence and your partner's Deep Freeze if you're playing with the mage again. And the damage is pretty good, and also it's gonna keep your mana pool decent, because if you get trained and you can't get those vampiric touches out, then you're gonna run actually you're gonna have a lot of trouble with mana. The other used talent, and probably the most popular actually, I'm not sure, is Solace and Insanity. What it does is when you go for a 3-orb Devouring Plague, you will want to prioritize using Mind Flay, because right now the way I play it, I barely use Mind Flay at all. I use it just as a filler when I have nothing else to do, or if I want to get a slow. But if you spec Solace and Insanity, your Mind Flay is going to hit like a truck when you have Devouring Plague up. And also, one more thing to note, it's not really related directly to this talent, but it's worth saying now. Your mastery, Shadowy Recall. A lot of people don't know this, but Mind Flay is actually a dot as well. So your mastery can affect Mind Flay. So if you go Insanity and you have a lot of mastery, you can get some pretty sick damage with that. I'm not recommending going mastery. I'm just saying as an idea. Okay, 1, 2, 3, fourth tier. Fourth tier is for me again hands down Spectral Guys. At some point in the beginning of this expansion actually, I was playing Angelic Bulwark against teams that would sit on me heavily, but I just like spectral guys like for against everything right now. It just allows a lot of fun plays, a lot of jukes, a lot of you can drink with it, you can drop combat so you can drink, you can drop combat so you can res, mount even. It's really fun, so definitely spectral guys for that. Now for the 5th tier is, again, this is a pretty easy one, Divine Insight all the way for Arena. For RBGs I have seen people, for RBGs actually I think Twist of Fate is a bit better. But for Arena, Divine Insight is the way to go. Because again, you have that burst, because you can have 3 orbs and a Mind Blast proc, and if you 2 Mind Spikes, and you can just turret all the damage in one target in a deep. That's a lot of damage. People usually die from that. Another good choice for almost soloing anything in a silence even is Power Infusion. If you go Power Infusion and Solace and Insanity and you set up your damage correctly, I'm gonna show you in a future video soon, the damage is actually ridiculous, right? So you pop Power Infusion, you 3 orb, and then you spam Solace and Insanity in a silence. You can one-shot, you can solo healers in a silence. In a 5-second silence, they can die. But overall, again, this is dispellable, and the damage is predictable if you go Insanity. So I like Divine Insight way more. Now for the last tier, they're all good. Okay, so they all have their utility. Cascade and Halo are probably the best for RBGs. Divine Star and Halo are the best for Arena. Now the difference between Halo and Divine Star is, in a nutshell, Divine Star gives you more healing and does less damage, and Halo deals a lot more damage and a lot more heal for your allies. Downside is the cooldown is pretty high and the mana cost. The mana cost is crazy. I don't like it. So yeah. Most people go for Halo nowadays, but I like sticking to my Divine Star. It's up to personal choice. I would actually recommend Halo for Arena, not Divine Star. But I run Divine Star just because I like it more. Okay, so that's it with talents. Let's move on to Glyphs. Okay, as far as Glyphs go, this is pretty much my standard setup when I enter Arena. The only thing that changes really is if we're fighting a melee heavy team, I will get, where is it? Prayer of Mending. I'll get the Glyph of Prayer of Mending instead of Inner Sanctum. If we're fighting a heavy Spell Cleave team, I will swap Glyph of Inner Fire for Prayer of Mending. If we're fighting a normal caster melee, I will stay like this. Let's talk about some other major glyphs that can be good. Okay, let's see what's actually decent over here. Mass Dispel. Okay, if you're up against RMD or God Comp, you might want to take Mass Dispel. I wouldn't go for it. I'd never go for it. But you might want to, simply because both the Druid and the Mage have ice blocks. So that would be nice, but I don't usually go for it. Now Mind Blast, this one's not that good if you go with the Mage, because it's gonna DR his Novas again. And your Roots, if you go for them. I tried Glyph of Mind Flay, it's really bad. Let's see what else do we got. This one's pretty bad. It's gonna heal you for the shield is about 50k, so this is gonna be about 10k heal, I think. Math, yeah, about 10k heal, which is not that great. It's pretty bad. I mean, it's more or less the same that Prayer of Mending gives you. Maybe no, it's not. Okay, Psychic Horror. I sometimes take this in 2v2 if I'm fighting DKs and another melee, like DK Rogue, DK Warrior, double DK, DK Ret. I sometimes go for Psychic Horror, simply because DKs sit the whole 10 seconds in a disarm. What else? Oh, Shadow Word Death. Now, Shadow Word Death, you don't really go for this one as a Shadow Priest. You do, however, go for it as a Holy Priest and Disc Priest. What you can do with this is you can actually Shadow Word Death polymorphs. You can Shadow Word Death polymorphs, so it breaks Repentance, Blind, Scattershot. It has a lot of utility, and it makes for some great, amazing plays. If you don't know how it works, it's pretty much, it allows you to Shadow Word Death a target when it's not dying, when it's not below 20% HP. But the damage is gonna be really small and insignificant, and if the target doesn't die as usual, you take the damage back. So if you see someone casting a sheep, you can Shadow Word Death when the cast is almost over, and the damage you take from Shadow Word Death is going to break the sheep. The sheep or the Seduce, Blind, Sap, Scattershot, you know, anything that breaks on damage. But again, as a Shadow Priest, you don't usually go for that because you have a healer to dispel you. And plus you need the other glyphs more. Glyph of Vampiric Embrace. This one's really fun for that insane burst healing if you're going for one versus ones. If you're dueling, this is actually really good, I would say, because the healing you receive it's a substantial increase, and the fact that the duration is reduced by 5 seconds is not that big of a deal because you pop this before your Devouring Plague. So then you have 4 more seconds of Devouring Plague ticks plus a Mind Blast, say. So it's pretty good. I think it's worth it, but only for 1v1s like that. Okay guys, there's actually one last thing about minor glyphs that's pretty important and not many people know about it, and that is the Glyph of the Shah. The Glyph of the Shah is bugged right now. It's been bugged since forever as far as I know. Okay, so what Glyph of the Shah does is makes your Mindbender or Shadow Fiend off global cooldown when you cast it first. Okay. So what I mean by that is it doesn't make Shadow Fiend off global cooldown completely as my Silence is. Okay, my Silence is off global cooldown. That means if I do a Shadow Word Pain and then I follow that up with a Silence immediately, they're both gonna register at the same time. Look. See, they both happened at the same time. Now, if I do Shadow Word Pain and then I spam Mindbender or Shadow Fiend, they're not gonna register at the same time, because even if this glyph is bugged, if you do another spell first, then you still have the global cooldown from that spell, so it applies to your Shadow Fiend. However, if you do the Shadow Fiend first and you use the glyph, then it bugs out and your second spell is gonna be off global cooldown. So I'm going to do Shadow Fiend and then Shadow Word Pain right afterwards. So you're gonna see they're both the same global cooldown. See? So yeah, that's it's not a huge, amazing increase of damage, but it is pretty important because the way you want to use this, and I'll talk about this later, but the way you want to do it is wait for 3 orbs and then wait for procs and then Mindbender and 3 orb. But yeah, that's there's a nice little trick that not many people know of. Okay, so that's it for this guide. If you want to head over to the next one, click over here. Or if you want to go back to the original video, click over here. Right, good luck and see ya!